One of the things I really enjoy about these last days is just the obvious choice to be honest. There's no more bullshitting about where we're at and what belief systems we have and what does it matter now that we are looking at our own imminent end of the physical body. The problem is we know so very little about what's next, and it's just every man's guess. And here's one of the things I've just learned this morning, gentlemen, that I want to share with you because I just want to honor you because I feel in this existence under patriarchy, you have suffered the most, lied to the most, been treated and used and abused the most. And that is on a chromosome level. Just looking at the XY chromosome, you have all of humanity in your body, not mine, not the feminine that you put on the pedestal, not the extreme behavior of our sexes, our reproductive abilities, our cross brains, as we were told before, but you have the chromosomes. You are the masculine and the feminine. You contain it both. Now, because I'm working on this book, Owning Masculinity, it is brought to my attention by the good scientists who bother to talk on TED that it is the XY chromosome that carries the energies of our humanity. It moves life forward. Without you, there is no life. It is the seed. You are the seed. And you spread properly most of the time. The challenge comes in circumcision and the abuse of the masculine body. And what that little procedure does is remove the most sensitive part of the male's body, that protective sheath that keeps him focused on being a man, not just a sex machine. And removing that, to probably the surprise and frustration of Dr. Kellogg and C.W. Post and those good Christian men back in the day from the Victorian era that were trying to control the sexual drive, really stomp it out. Because Kellogg never even consummated his marriage. So there is no prodigy from him. However, when they have removed this part, there is a clinical, psychological name for the challenge that happens when you remove the most sensitive part of a man, and it's called alexithymia. It is the inability to feel. It's when the heart cannot feel its own emotions. The body cannot be aware or sense its own motions. And because we are not wanting to study those things, there's very little study done on it. However, there was another woman who did her TED Talk, Nadine Burke, who has come up with a group called ACEs, the, oh shoot, I forgot what it stands for. ACE, Childhood, Adverse Childhood Experiences. That's what it stands for. You got to remember, I'm in the dark in my little sound booth with only the machines whirring behind me. And her website carefully goes over the discussion on circumcision and why it should be included as an adverse childhood experience. Because out of her work, she's seen all the problems that you can have in life because you had these adverse childhood experiences. And I took the test if I was a man and I only had the one issue. And my score was a 4. And when I did it just for me. And when I did the test as a man who just had a circumcision but otherwise had a perfect life, his score was a 1. The challenge came when you looked at the scores, or the key for what the numbers mean. And 1 through 3s um, have, and of course it gets worse, cancer and violence and bad behaviors that show up in your life. But the ones through three have the hardest, not the hardest, also have the issue of not being able to resolve these issues. And that's the point that I was shocked about and was like, oh my gosh. And mainly because we don't know. We don't know this is an issue. If you don't know that your heart does not work, you don't feel it. You don't think about it. When I brought up the subject, and I learned it yesterday, Sunday, I was in the park and saw a friend who had listened to some of my videos on circumcision, and I said, I had just learned something else that was just heartbreaking. And he searchingly looked around. I could see his eyes looking. He goes, I don't really feel anything about this issue. All I could do was sigh. Yeah, I know. It's the part that's been damaged the most. And years ago, I realized where men are broken and where women are broken. Women have overprogrammed heads. We have in our heads, we are running marathons before we even get out of bed with all the things that need to be done in our head and exhausting ourselves before we get out of bed. And with men, their hearts have been damaged by this act. And so they've been shut down emotionally. And they're kind of automatons, is that the right word for it? These machines that do. And anger is still allowed in the body. Anger, because that was the first emotion you felt. A lot of anger and pain. And that is easily brought back to the surface because it's there. It's the one that's the deepest. So I have sighed and said, I gotta write about this, and I don't want to, but I just want to be honest and say I'm sorry. I have done far much worse than taking skin. I've taken a life, so I'm no saint here. But I still feel. I ache for this pain that was never understood. That unanswered why has been the driver for my life. And I'm not going to die with ignorance. I choose not to. I want to know everything. Everything. And I want to get better. And I want to help us all get better. So this morning, it's just a confession. Yes, it's tearful, sorry. And I'm sorry that tears have always been difficult for men. I don't understand that. Something that you can't tap into. I don't get it. But I want to know, and I'm going to find out. And I'll keep doing these badly done, unedited, sloppily put together communications to you. And I hope this is not your issue. And I'd really appreciate it if you could just say, not my issue. So I can stay focused on bringing our heights in this body as much as we can, to the next level. Because there's so much we don't know. But I know this, we have been kept from knowing, and that pisses me the fuck off. And that brings the angry black woman up, and I'm like, damn it, no fuck, no way. We are going to learn everything we need to know. Before this 10 minutes is over, I want to say to you, learn everything you can and share it with everyone you know. Help as many as you can now. This is the time. The ark has been built, and we are it. It is our minds, our hearts, our beings, and we are the consciousness that has to move forward. Amen.